I played the violin when I was 5 years old, so it was not really a formed decision. I just didn't like it, and I think the violin also didn't like me, so I think it was pretty obvious that I should change. And when I was 8 years old, I made the switch, and immediately I felt very comfortable. I felt, sitting down. I was a little bit of a lazy child. But sitting down and having that low frequencies right next to my body was actually something that I loved from the start. Well, I think the person that made me switch was my father, because he's a cellist himself. So we had a couple of cellos at home, so it was an easy switch. But yeah, I think that was my earliest cello inspiration. And then shortly after, when I started listening to cellists, Rostropovich, Heinrich Schiff, Fournier, Feuermann, those were cellists that I looked up to a lot and still do. Well, I think, an outdoor concert is fundamentally different, because you have little children in front, and then they run around and they dance to the music, and they, people shout to their friends, and then some people are barbecuing, so you don't necessarily find that in a concert hall that often. But in terms of interpretation, I would say that it inspires me, and I feel that it's very alive, and it's a very particular way to play in the summer. And because I play a lot of outdoor venues, especially in the United States, where you have a lot of those outdoor venues. I'm quite used to this kind of performance, and I guess I would say it's a little bit more of a light-hearted approach than you would have in a normal concert hall. But certainly, it's a delightful atmosphere, and you're outside and you hear the birds, and it's nice. Yeah. I wouldn't necessarily say that an outdoor concert made the difference. I think it was just good to play in a concert in general with the OSR, and that we got to know each other in a very intimate way, and not only in the studio, but also have the concert experience, and to see what kind of spontaneity happens in a concert, and to then transfer that spontaneity onto the recording. I think that was really helpful, especially with a piece like the Rococo Variations that rely on spontaneity and freshness. And if you don't have spontaneity and fantasy and playfulness in such a piece, then it can get very boring very quickly. So I think to have that concert beforehand was very helpful. Well, we just finished the last take about 2 hours ago, so it will now go to the editor, and he will cut all the things that we recorded together. And what I've heard so far, I think we can all be very proud of this production. Especially because we don't have a big history together with myself at the orchestra and myself at the conductor. I mean, these pieces were all working together for the first time. I think everybody was aware that there is a certain amount of risk involved, that you don't fall in love. But I think we did fall in love actually during the production, and I think we all got excited about what we were doing, and I think that excitement translates over to the listener, I hope. At least the takes that I could listen to in the editing room now, they excite me, and they make me very, very happy that we did this project together. I don't want to feel comfortable, and I don't want to feel relaxed. I think both things are reserved for holidays, and I will have holidays in about 2 months. I think this is a big misunderstanding that musicians or artists in general, think you need to be comfortable with your work. You don't need to feel comfortable. You need to be aware, and you need to be alive, and you need to be very much in the moment. And that aliveness also brings discomfort, because you realize your actions are full of potential, but that potential can also head in the wrong direction. So in a way, being alive and being aware also gives you potential for failure. So that makes me personally very nervous. But I'd rather feel like that than comfortable and then end up with a boring product. I have a very good memory of my first concert in the United States, and that was with the Chicago Symphony Orchestra and Pierre Boulez conducting. And we played a contemporary concerto, and I was about to make a wrong entry. I was about to make a mistake. And without changing his face, Pierre Boulez just went like this with his hand, and so I stopped. And when it was time for me to play, he went like this. And I thought, my God, what a master to just be in total control, you know, just like, you know, regulating the traffic. And I thought at that moment, what a blessing to be able to work with such masters, you know. And I think that's a recurring feeling that I have when I work with somebody who is just great on stage. That I feel very lucky, you know. And that was such a moment, I would say. Not really, because you know it is funny that when you feel really terrible on stage and then you listen, let's say, to a radio broadcast of that concert, you realize all the things that you thought were super terrible are actually not so bad. They don't come out that badly. So I think if I really had a terrible moment on stage, then it was something that was just private for me and personal for me. And you know, if bad things happen, it's actually also a good thing in performance. You know, like recently, I snapped a couple of C strings, and you know, I played. I think it was Shostakovich last time when I played with Cleveland Orchestra, and a C string popped, and you know, in that moment you're just like so in the rush of going. So I just took the cello of the principal and exchanged the instruments. And went on with that instrument, and you know, that was turning a bad moment into some exciting performance. You know, so I think, as terrifying as the stage can be, nothing really bad can happen on the stage, because whatever happens is part of a performance, and I think, you know, the art of performance as we understand it, you know, which started in the Greek theater, or probably started much earlier with people just getting together, gathering, and somebody doing something for others. You know, I think that is such an amazing human invention, because this space that you create is something that only exists in people's minds, but it is at the same time so real, it is so tangible, and yeah, very. I'm very happy and very blessed to be working in that environment. I would describe it as being welcomed by them, and I feel that they opened their space for me, and I'm very, very grateful that their music making is not only highly professional and highly flexible, you know, being an opera orchestra, and they have no problem with me playing extremely free in a piece like the Pezzo Capriccioso or the Rococo Variations. They just follow, which is amazing. Not only do they follow, but they anticipate, which is even better. But on a personal level, I just felt very welcome, and you know, everybody was very warm, encouraging, and that's what you need during the recording, because it's very stressful to record in such a short period of time, and if you know that the people that you're on stage with, they are on your side, that's a good feeling, you know, and so I was very happy. I had a couple of days. Actually, there was one free day between the concert and the beginning of the rehearsal. So I went to the lake, of course. I was sitting in the sun in the park. It was very nice. And while we are doing this interview, the European Championship of Soccer is going on. So I've been watching a couple of games. And tonight is He's the semi-final of Germany against France. So we'll see about that. I would love, this is very profane, but I would love to have a beer with Mozart and just, you know, really ask him why he didn't write a cello concerto, because I'm not, I disagree with Wolfgang Amadeus fundamentally that he didn't write for our instruments. So I think I would love to talk with him. And yeah. I do very much. Let's see. This next season I play with the Los Angeles Philharmonic again. I actually performed 2 new works that are written for me. 3 new works actually next season. So next season really is the year of compositions. One piece by Johannes Kalitzke, and one piece by Miss Firsova. That's a double concerto together with Vadim Glusman, who also was here, I think. Wonderful violinist, and one quintet by Julia Wolf that is mirroring the Schubert quintet. So you know, that is one of my passions, that I try to commission as many works as possible. And of course Rostropovich is the big figure in cellists' lives, because I mean he commissioned over 90 works for cello. And I am now at 13, I think, so I still have a lot of way to go. But at least, you know, these pieces that I commission or that I'm a part of, I feel very privileged to be part of the process of bringing new music to life. And you know, some pieces are better than others, but at least you keep the art form alive, and you don't just rely on the pieces that are, you know, of course, of fantastic quality. But I think our art form needs a lot of new music in order to stay current and to stay alive. Otherwise, we just, you know, become a museum. And I don't think our art form is there yet to be put in a glass box and not to evolve anymore. I think there's a lot of potential for music.